Welcome to YG-TV and YG Workshop, presented by First Federal Bank and sponsored by Circle Electric and Health Payment Systems. I'm your host, David Belman, president of Belman Homes. YG Workshop is a collaborative environment designed to help businesses see their blind spots, consider new perspectives, and grow toward their goals. Our panel of experts work together to help an entrepreneur that is growing their company. Today, the team and I are helping KJ and Alex Eichstaedt, co-founders of IKE Podcast Network. Let's meet the panel.
I'm Lori Highby, CEO and founder of Keystone Click. We are a strategic digital marketing agency.
I'm Ariel Kopac, founder and owner of Harness Your Hindrance, serving business owners and sales professionals with mindset business coaching.
I'm Craig Sorbo, owner of Sorbo Financial. We help people have a better relationship with money.
I'm David Belman, president of Belman Homes and one of the founders of the Young Guns movement.
Welcome to First Federal Bank of Wisconsin. Here at the bank, we pride ourselves on providing the community bank difference. To us, it's more than a tagline, it's how we serve our customers and support our communities. When you work with us, you can expect quick local decision making, a great customer experience, and a significant community commitment. As experts in the products and services we provide, we are here to help you achieve your financial goals. Proudly serving the Milwaukee metropolitan area since 1922, we look forward to serving you and showing you what the community bank difference is all about.
Circle Electric is a 35-year commercial, industrial, and healthcare electrical contractor with engineers and designers on staff, backed by the most technical and well-trained master and journeyman electricians. Whether it's an equipment move, new building, or commercial remodel, from pre-construction all the way through startup, primary power, branch power, or low voltage systems, they are here to support you. Our 24/7 on-call service department is here to meet your electrical needs for our industrial and healthcare customers. You always hear safety first. They are safety always. Circle Electric will maintain electrical reliability for business continuity.
For more than 80% of families, today's medical billing practices are confusing. At HPS, our goal is to improve the healthcare experience for the patient by making medical bill payments less stressful. In Wisconsin, that's all made possible by our comprehensive independent healthcare provider network. We simplify billing and lower costs for everyone involved in healthcare and offer various ways for individuals to pay without breaking the bank.
Welcome to YG Workshop. We are here today with Alex and KJ Eichstaedt, brothers and owners of IKE Media and IKE Podcast Network. How are you guys doing today?
Doing amazing. Thanks for having us, Mr. Belman.
Yep, fantastic. Happy to be on the show.
Absolutely. So you guys have a very interesting business, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about it. How did you guys come up with the idea, and what exactly is IKE Media?
Yeah, so our last name, as Mr. Belman mentioned, is Eichstaedt, so that's where the name originated, but it all started in 2014. We were sitting around wondering how can we do what we loved and also earn a living out of it, and it kept coming back to brands. So what we did is we took our interests, which happened to be at the time sports and business. We built this beautiful website called IKESportreport.com, where we cultivated great content, modeling it after Apple and Tesla in a way to appeal to the senses. However, we put the cart ahead of the horse in the sense we had this great content, but we didn't have an audience. So from there, we migrated to Twitter, where we found that there was this ultimate hotspot for people talking about various items, especially sports, Packers, Brewers, Badgers, and Bucks, which from there allowed us to cultivate these audiences, which saw us transfer and migrate them into this new podcast world. We've cultivated multiple top 40 podcasts in the Apple Podcast top 40 charts, or top 100 charts, excuse me. We've helped on the private side, helped people start and cultivate podcasts of their own, which see them network with C-suite executives, business owners. For our podcast, we've networked with dozens of athletes in the pro and collegiate sphere. We're getting into a little bit of athlete branding as that field starts to take off. But really, this is about empowering other people in their dreams and their businesses through the
Podcast medium.
future-facing trend of podcasting.
Okay, that's
Yes.
excellent. Yeah, it's a neat space that you guys are in. One, obviously, because podcasts are growing, they're extremely popular, but then also to be in the sports world with it, I'm sure that's pretty dynamic. And I know that you have several guests that are up and comers or even more established athletes as well. So
Yeah, so we started cultivating these relationships with athletes a few years back, and as we've kind of garnered and grown these communities online, these athletes, they've been a part of it. And so I think they feel a sense of trust in us, and that's stemmed even into when we try to work with entrepreneurs or other people that need podcasts, is when you have that athlete trust and that public trust, then it kind of makes that a more easy process for them to get involved.
absolutely. Well, you guys didn't just come here to talk about sports and podcasting. You
No.
guys came here because you have a question about your business. So what is the most pressing question facing your business right now?
Yes, thanks for asking. It's something we're definitely looking for help with. And, we've done a lot of learning growing as this business, but we're in a great spot in the sense where we've got this beautiful new website. We've got a tremendous service offering that we can offer people. We've got a great case study that shows how we might approach it. And we've onboarded a few clients, and we're at the point now where we'd really like to scale this upward. And really, I think it's two-part, qualifying the right client, but also finding more relevant clients that we can help. So we're really ready for the growth phase. I think, there was an honest looking inward part where we may have been a little more figuring out the business, but now we're very well aligned, very ready with our service offerings. We have multiple packages, depending on, what might work best for a business or a client, what they might be interested in, whether it be content or more so podcasting. But really, we're ready to build this upward.
Yeah.
That's a great question, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But in order to really help you, we got to understand a little bit more about your business, and we've got some very smart panelists here. So we're going to turn it over to our panelists for some questions so we can learn a little bit more about your company. Who'd like to start?
Well, the big question for me, as you say, you have multiple packages and different markets. What is your biggest revenue generator or the product that seems to appeal and sell the most?
I would say
Servicing, the consulting.
basically our overall podcast package. So a little bit more about those packages. Each of these packages will help anyone start, conceptualize, brand, and launch, and really just get their podcast of their own rolling. We require these packages be 6-month minimum, as podcast isn't something that goes, overnight success. And really 12 months for best results. The best results come from ongoing, distribution.
Need that commitment.
But really, it's kind of like they all offer the same thing, and it really helps people work within their budget. Yeah.
Okay. Lori?
Can you paint the picture of your ideal client for me?
Go for it.
I would say our ideal client is someone who maybe be a leader or an aspiring leader in the business sense. It could be someone of any field, a real estate agent, maybe they were a former C-suite executive, maybe they just have a small shop or store, and they're really looking to cultivate a experience for people as well as a build an influence. And why is that important? Well, we can establish credibility and also accomplish those things that they want through a podcast. So we really have a lot of people who could be potential clients, but we're really looking for those who are more motivated and really don't feel that bar of entry to put themselves out there. Because you are doing a podcast, you gotta like to talk and connect with people. So that's obviously a big part of it too, good conversationalists.
I have a follow-up question to that. So,
Oh, you're going to go out of order now. We got Craig sitting here. He's just itching to get started.
Sorry.
No.
it'll be worth the wait, I promise.
Okay.
Patience is my virtue.
So why deviating when you have this established trust with athletes?
Well, that's interesting because I think maybe we could explain that a bit better. The athletes give us a lot of credibility. So this is something that kind of starting from the backstory, we've always had an interest in these realms. We were born in Waukesha, Wisconsin. I went to school in Milwaukee. Alex went to school at Madison. We've had a lot of interest in those areas, those sports fields. So we just started this cultivating our backgrounds in audio production, kind of helped us with this new thing that is podcasting. And our sports background just helped us get all these connections, whether it be the athletes, bringing them on our own podcast to establish our own credibility. And really now we realize that we are in talks with multiple athletes about their own brands, but really we're looking for the business side to help build that upwards, using the credibility of having a member of the Green Bay Packers, the Wisconsin Badgers on our own podcast, because you have to take it the utmost seriousness. You can't have any mistakes. It's got to be professional. And it really, especially in this great state of Wisconsin, people really trust those people as influencers or whatever they may be. So that's the reason. There really isn't any differentiation. We can help anyone, but I would say that the focus is a little bit more on the business world in this sense.
And I've got one thing to add. When we were cultivating these athletes, a lot of the athletes at the time were collegiate athletes. And up until about 2 weeks ago, they weren't allowed to do anything, branding, media, anything. So our connections starting at the college level, you usually go player to player, like through, hey, what's your, a friend or a conversation, someone comes up, you get connected to them. And now we're finally being more immersed into professional athletes, but that's kind of why we haven't targeted athletes for a long time. We couldn't. And so that's still something we're cultivating and hopefully intend to do, but we're more patient there because we understand that they're delicate relationships, and also they do so much for us credibility-wise. We want to make sure that we're in good standing with them.
Sure. Okay. Craig? Now, Craig is the financial mind here, so I'm sure you've got a burning question.
What is the current scale of the business? So you said you want to scale up. What does the business look like now? How many employees? What do you have?
Yeah, so we have a really strong core team. We're very lean, and we're actually proud of that. We used to have a couple people that helped us out in a bigger capacity, but right now it's just Alex and myself. We do have one of the cool things about building these networks, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be in the podcast world, is it's allowed us to network with a bunch of really talented individuals, whether it be graphic designers for professional sports teams, whether it be people in the media world. So myself and Alex being skilled in all these, branding skills, whether it be audio production, sound engineering, graphic design, branding, whatever it might be, we can handle things and put that Ike touch on it that these athletes have become, familiar with and trusting of. But as we grow up, right now we have a couple clients, and we also have a couple clients we provide branding services with as well, but the podcast really is focusing, which encompasses branding. And as we move up, we're ready to, bring on more of these videographers in our network. We've become introduced to, bring on more of these maybe graphic designers we become introduced to as necessary, who already are performing things at a high level.
So follow-up, so right now you're bringing those in as contractors?
Essentially, yes, as necessary.
As needed, but you would be looking at some point bringing them on as employees?
That would be
to
correct.
Scale the business?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, guys, do you have a picture in your mind? 3 years from now, what does this look like? Do you have that?
We made a roadmap, actually, and we talked first, because we want to have credible and meaningful clients, so that's one of our struggles. But we talked about how we'd like to build this up from 10 to 25 to potentially even 100 clients, depending on when we find that balance between how many clients can an consultant or expert take, and then also what are we able to service. So roughly, we've seen, we'd like to grow that side, but then we also have our own content side, and that's kind of a steady growth that's more slow. So we hope to, probably do half a billion impressions or reach that many people by that time.
Okay.
So you said no differentiation. You can help everybody.
Ariel's getting the sword out.
Well, so, okay, here's the thought. What's your concern of getting really niche and narrow, such as staying with athletes or going to another target market, but being very specific with who you're working with? You said 10, 25, 100 clients. There's thousands upon thousands out there. If you went really niche, there's a lot more than 100 in a niche. So as you think about narrowing or trying to figure out who that target market is, what are the concerns that come up with specifying that?
Well, I think podcasting is unique in the sense where it is something that's coming in still, and I think maybe some of the people at this panel would already be more embracing of it in the sense where they'd understand that everyone in any business could use one, so that helps. We do have, as we mentioned, case studies, so if there's a certain vertical, we can go right back to that. But really, this isn't something that we'd want to limit, at least in the beginning stages of our business. It would be really easy to maybe scale 10 loan officers, for example, or scale 10 realtors. And that's certainly on the table, and there's no reason we can't do that. But really, we're not really trying to limit anyone like that. We feel like this really can be scalable in the sense where if we get the right people and the right systems in place and kind of find a nice little pipeline, we believe that over time, and we're already seeing this happen, the word of mouth is going to help us attract more clients. Clients are going to talk to new people and say, this worked out well for me. But that's a really good question. And I would say to answer that, we do have certain verticals we can go to that are more fitting to those specific fields. But I don't think we'd really be looking to limit this for the good of the businesses, for the good of the people watching this. And
I've got one more
point in time. Maybe that would change in the future.
One more thing is we started building sports podcasts. And so if you think about how different a sports podcast is from a realtor podcast or a loan officer, as KJ brought up, they're very different. But our tactics that we've applied to these sports podcasts have worked. They've translated. So it really has shown us that it's not really about industry within podcasting, but it's more we are experts in podcasting itself. We both have over 10 years of experience in audio production as well. I use Pro Tools, he specializes with Logic, but there are some things that we like to keep open, and one of those is in the interest of the client, because they have to want to do what they're passionate about.
That's a big point, just to expand off that. We want the client to have as much excitement about their own podcast and brand as we do, because otherwise it'll just be a very uphill battle. It's really important that they are very excited about growing their baby, so to speak, and really just using it as a vehicle that can last them beyond even a year, like 5 years, 10 years down the line. And we've actually talked about one client, him potentially passing down his podcast. Eventually, he's 37, eventually passing it down to his 3-year-old son. And we've structured the podcast in a certain way where he incorporates his business into it, but he also is not boxed in the sense where he can talk about life, he can talk about lessons, he can talk about learning.
You can see your face lighting up talking about this client. It's very apparent that you're very excited about it.
Yeah.
I still don't have the answer to my question
of
what concerns do you have with limiting your market, even just to start?
With athletes, it's not such a black and white working process, and so a lot of the time we would love to work with them, but it's difficult to get in these circles. So it's not like we can just go create a ton of connections with athletes. It's darn near impossible to reach these guys.
So I think what you're kind of saying is you're trying to generate revenue now while you're cultivating the relationship with the athletes, right? So you're using maybe private parties to generate revenue, but I think where you want to go is you want to be doing the marketing for the athletes. Is that right?
That's a natural interest, and I wouldn't even box ourselves in that way. I would say, what we're doing right now is we're building credibility, because this business isn't necessarily going to be the cheapest one on the block. It's going to be, quality, and then that's why we've had multiple podcasts chart. The people who, going back to the ideal client conversation, this isn't going to be, the lowest on the totem pole podcasting service. We've really gone to that high-end space, stemming from the athletes who want just something that is nice.
They want quality.
Business owner down the street, ice cream shop, you might be able to get them on something that isn't quite as, just for lack of a better term, nice. But really, we're cultivating this credibility which supports our service offerings, which we're kind of growing in the background until we branch from one client to another. Really, our first goal, as Alex touched on, is to get up to 10 clients. From there, take it from 10 to 25, and then from there, 25 to 100. And just to go back to your question, concerns we have about limiting our audience in the beginning. It's really interesting. I don't know if I have any. Maybe that's just me being naive. Yeah, I really think I can help anyone at this.
I know you got some advice in your mind, so we're going to save that for you sit back. I can tell. Lori, I know you got a question.
All right, I'm ready.
The goal that you laid out initially was scaling and finding more clients. How do you find clients today?
Very much so word of mouth, because once again, this isn't really like a $10 service offering. It's not like something, I can go to a restaurant one time and spend 20, 30 bucks on a meal, and if it's not good, I don't have to go there again. It's like people who work with us, by the time they, get ready to sign the papers, they're very serious about it, and that's how we'd like them to be. So oftentimes that comes from word of mouth. I will say, for the good of the panel, we actually have been looking into this, and we've actually been wondering if maybe PPC is a route we'd like to go. That's still up in the air, but just to get a little tactical inside the mind with you guys for a second. But I would say 99% of it comes from word of mouth. Occasionally we'll have inbound stuff, but usually some way, shape, or form, whether it's they've heard a podcast with so-and-so on it, whether it be an athlete they're interested or whatever, whether they've heard someone else's podcast in a business aspect or something like that. Usually it comes from them hearing an Ike podcast production beforehand, and then they want some of that similar for their own business or brand.
And I apologize, I did not listen to any of your episodes. Do you promote IKE Media Productions in your show as a sponsor of the show?
We like to offer our case study, which is on our website, for free. So we always tell our fans, hey, if you want to start a podcast of your own for free, we have a case study that shows how to do it, and you can build your own. And we find that as good value to just offer people, and that a lot of times we'll strike up some conversations with people about the case study, and they'll just ask us like some introductory questions. But like KJ said, these people are typically really serious by the time they sign with us. So it kind of maybe for us,
it's like a good qualifier for us, because a lot of people will come to us and say, I have a dream of like one day I will start my own Milwaukee Bucks podcast.
So it kind of shows they're willing to make the commitment if they're willing to follow that, because that's the problem with a podcast, right? Is people start them and they don't give 3 episodes.
That's the thing, and if you're getting someone via maybe an inbound DM, they might be more in that awareness stage where they might want this, but they don't have any idea, as you do, Mr. Belman, just like the work that might be put behind it. And it's not just like work, it's not like that's difficult. It's really the consistency aspect, which a lot of people might say is translatable to anything in life. It doesn't matter if you don't have a great day at practice or something, as long as you're consistently putting in the work, you're going to reap those rewards. And a lot of that can be applied to podcasting too. So I would say overall, the online leads have not been quite as ready to commit as maybe someone who may have met me at an event or something like that, or just has a mutual connection. But it's really cool because talking about time, that's one of the problems podcasting solves is, everyone could use more time, and you're able to consume it in a passive manner. So it's really cool, and as an alternative to TV.
And on the flip side of it, it's also everyone needs more time. If you're a leader, a business leader, and you want to scale your time, podcasting, all of a sudden you're reaching hundreds, thousands of listeners, you are scaling your time. It's like you're taking meetings with all these people.
Craig, last question.
So starting with the end in mind, is your goal with this business to create an equitable business or buy a job?
Could you repeat that one more time?
Is your goal with this business to create an equitable business or buy a job?
Buy a job, that's very interesting. Well, I can say I love what I do every day, so I think I'm very blessed in that regard. My ultimate goal, starting with the end in mind, is I really want to change the world. And one way we're taking that a step at a time, and we give back every year, is the toy drive we do in the winter for Children's Hospital. It's got a little bit of a personal connection to us, but that's what we've done. I really do get a lot of fulfillment out of it, taking you guys back to when we first started the business. what the story was. I was like, how can I enjoy what I do and make a living out of it? Where I've worked really hard and I'm finally at that place where I'm able to support myself. And
So that's my question is, are you profitable right now? Are you able to make a living off of what you guys are doing?
yes, we are. We
Okay.
went through COVID. We didn't take any PPP. It's kind of like a pinch me moment because we're still figuring out this business stuff as well. But you know, when you kind of look back at the facts, it's like, wow, we did go through COVID. We did get even more profits, and we didn't take any PPP, and we still did do the toy drive through COVID. It's really just like I'm really thankful and excited for year 3, where we hope to make it even bigger. And really, the end in mind, I really want to build a school one day in Jamaica, because we went to Jamaica a couple of years back, about 5 years ago, and we drove from Montego Bay to Kingston, Jamaica, the upper left corner to the lower right, and in the capital city, Kingston. Really, when you get there, on the way, you see all these universities, which are really like trailer parks or shacks. And what really made it seem opportunistic to me is I could make a building that's just like the size of like a normal house, and that could be like a university there. So one day I would love to start IKE University in Jamaica, teach people stuff like business, finance, how to start an investment account, you know, how to maybe create a logo, create some graphic design, something like that. And it wouldn't be like I would have to make this humongous complex. It could be like we could maybe make something reasonable. And so just a couple of goals we have, that would be, you know, we love doing this. We actually get to work with athletes. That's like a pinch me moment every day. Some players in the Bucks, Badgers, you know, Brewers, Circles. That's a pinch me moment too, and any money is honestly a bonus. So it's like reflecting on this is really
You
awesome.
guys clearly have the passion, you got some big ideas and big vision, but you have, you know, this question that's kind of burning, and I think we want to kind of move into that right now. And your question was, you know, how do you scale this? How do you find the right clients and basically grow this and grow your revenue, correct? That's correct.
Yep.
The main question. Okay, who wants to give some advice? I know, Ariel,
Can I go now?
you've been waiting patiently. Yes, you did.
Thank you. Okay, so when you're appealing to everybody, you're resonating with nobody.
Okay.
If you are saying, I can help anybody, and you're saying we're a high quality, not low tier service, if you're saying you work with everybody, you are saying that you are a low tier service. Even if you're providing a high quality service, if you're not really clear on who you're serving, then the message is you just want to work with anybody, and it can come across as desperate or needy or unclear, and then you're not resonating with your audience because you don't even have your audience clear to resonate with. It's a completely different approach, and the mindset oftentimes is, but if I say who I work with specifically, what if others feel discounted or excluded, right? That's oftentimes the fear is excluding someone. However, by being really clear on who you're speaking to, you can align your messaging. I'm saying stuff that you guys are probably saying to your clients, right? You got to be really specific with who you're speaking to. Figure out your audience. Use your language and your marketing to that audience. You got to take your own advice and do that for your business. And then you can expand from there. You can have more than one market, but you got to get really clear on what your market is and expand from there. If you're flipping from being really specific with athletes to now anybody and everybody, you're not resonating with anyone. And then you're going to go from we're appealing to thousands, yet we can't get 100.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I think
thing it made me think of was the we do.
well, I think the target is more so like just refining that. Maybe we didn't get into this as much, but it is really just someone who's a decision maker, who is willing to build influence,
passion,
and it really doesn't matter their field, and that's something we even could get specific further into. I'm sure we'd find probably a little more consistency in turning over those stones. But yeah, that's awesome.
Lori?
You read my notes.
I think you did mine too. I think we all
We're just
felt
very
the same.
aligned. Be everything to everyone.
Yes.
Which is exactly what Ariel said. And you've heard the phrase, there's riches in the niches. And really, the more you niche down, and I can see and hear the passion around athletes, and you've already got a foot in the door, which is extremely challenging to get into. Mm-hmm. So don't give that up, and you're going to dilute your brand by saying we can do this to everyone. And that's the last thing you want to know. You're branding experts, you know this. Mm-hmm. Eat your own medicine here.
Yeah.
The other thing to think about, so you shared a fantastic story about how you tapped into Twitter and it just exploded, and that's because that's where that specific audience was. So once you get clear on who your ideal customer is, and what you just shared with Ariel was still broad. Get very clear. Think about who is someone that you love working with right now and who is profitable for your business, and really get into their head and figure out why are they working with you, and where are they hanging out online? What kind of questions or challenges do they have that we're able to solve, and build that persona and say, we want more of that type of specific person to be working with. Then you're gonna win.
I love it. So I started on luck is when preparation meets opportunity. You guys have put in a ton of preparation, and as you said 2 weeks ago, a major sports change happened.
Yeah.
You have to try to capitalize. All right, you have millions of collegiate athletes right now that can get paid for their name and likeness. You have a tool to help them brand their name and likeness. You want to be involved in sports players.
I love that you bring this up, because we actually could kind of sense this energy around this, because we actually had an athlete reach out to us saying, hey, I'd like to be an Ike athlete. And we kind of looked at each other and were like, this is cool. And then we sent the screenshot to a couple people that work with us, and they just got excited really right away about, they're like, oh, this reminds me of the new rule, because it's been news. And so we gave a call to a couple of players around the league, NFL, and we were just kind of tossing the idea back. So we've definitely been brainstorming about it. We're not sure our angle yet on that, because we still don't even know the exact rules. We'll have to do some research ourselves into that, but I love the recommendation. Yeah, I love the recommendation.
I'd be all over that quickly.
Okay.
Right? That's the opportunistic area right there.
Okay.
The other side on your whole business is you're saying, hey, we're surviving now, right? Like typically in a business, you survive before you thrive. But the planning person in me is saying your success will come when you develop a plan that is going to execute these things you want. When you have enough things coming in to build your school in Jamaica, to change the world, as you said, quantify that in some way. It's always quantifiable, right? That's where your success, the crossroads will happen in an amazing way. So, and then you back into what does it need when you talk about scalability. In order to accomplish those things, to scale your business, what do you need to help you get to that point? And go get it. So you got the opportunity out there. You guys have prepped the business for it, developed the plan.
Yeah,
Should be easy.
I'm going to jump in on that too, and I think the theme here is first clarity. You're having a very clear picture of who you are and where you want to get to, and then that exclusivity piece is big as well, right? I think because you are working with athletes and you have that niche, you've been cultivating, you've been sort of farming the college ranks a little bit, use that exclusivity. That's a huge advantage. People in your field would kill to have that right now that you have, and you have the audience as well. So you have it. So my advice is double down on that, and then use that network that you have of some of these athletes. And one of the things, you've got that picture of the charity and things in your mind down the road, and that's great. You can kind of use that in the future as these athletes grow, because they're always looking for philanthropy and things too.
They have foundations.
So eventually that can come into the picture. Obviously right now you've got to get that market, take advantage of the situation that's come up as well. But I think that's really, it's a little bit bigger risk for you, and it's probably a little bit of a longer delayed gratification. Working that angle, but there's a huge amount of opportunity there, and it could be potentially huge. And that's your vision. From what you've told us, your vision is huge to change the world, right?
Yeah, and it's just so interesting because going off what this great advice is it kind of like what's really cool about it, just to add on top of it, is a lot of these athletes in the collegiate ranks don't even end up going on to the highest level, but what they do is they end up becoming very, very, very successful in their fields, because they have the mentality and the work ethic and drive and focus abilities and all that stuff. So an athlete right now might even become like the next great financial advisor, the next great realtor, and kind of we've seen a little bit of that.
Yeah, we have through connections.
And really just like all sorts of phases of meeting these guys. And so it's cool because all those people could use the same thing, but I agree that's great advice. Just get a little more clarity and continue.
Other advice that you guys
Yeah,
have?
just tying kind of what what everyone is saying, as well as hearing your words from before. You said money is a bonus. And your mindset around money is very important, especially as a business owner.
Yeah,
So,
maybe that
and
was
you
a
say
loose
money. I'm going to capture your words, but you said money is a bonus. Money may be a bonus for you personally, and your perceptions around money, whatever they are, may be fine. But for your business, money is not a bonus, it is the lifeblood. So make sure that when you're thinking about being a business owner and this is your business, money is the lifeblood of your business. How you use that, how you distribute that, how much that goes towards your nonprofit, all of that in how you use your money personally. You may see money as a bonus in many ways, but for your business, it's the lifeblood. So make sure you have shifted that mentality as a business owner.
That was a mic drop right there.
That's really good. Yeah.
Love it.
I would say that's pretty accurate how it is. As someone who knows me, he could attest.
Yeah, we've
But
had
that's a good reminder. Yeah.
make sacrifices in the past. We've left a lot of money just in terms of like people wanting to sponsor our content or work with us, and we didn't feel the brand fit was right. So maybe that's more what KJ meant is we don't rush into anything that we aren't confident in. But definitely that's where our focus is now is like that's why scaling is such a priority is because if we can generate that revenue, there's so much we can do with it with this opportunity that's just come up. So.
I love David's word exclusivity. And what I've heard is quality, premium. You have a premium brand. You're very selective on who you're allowing to sponsor your shows, but you're also going to be selective about who you work with. And people will pay a premium because they want to be an Ike athlete or part of your media company.
Yeah, and athletes want to be special, right? They want that
Yes,
special
so-
treatment, and so that exclusivity sort of is natural in that market.
You have an elite service that people will pay a premium for. So instead of putting a goal of we want 100 clients, why don't you say we want 50 premium clients? And you say we only take 50 clients at a time. So there's a wait list for people saying, I want to be one of those 50.
I love that idea because we were thinking, like, just because we're sports guys, like rosters. It's almost like we have our own roster that we're building out and like managing. And so I haven't thought about that of like maybe putting like a hard cap or something like saying, hey, we just want to focus on 50. It's a really good idea. I've never heard that.
Any last advice?
No, I mean, I think that's awesome stuff, right? How you're just kind of flipping the script on who you want. I know earlier, it caught my attention when you said, yeah, we made a couple calls to these collegiate athletes. I'd be blasting those phone lines right now, right? These, you understand their perspective right now too, right? Every collegiate athlete out there right now, especially I'll say your upper mid-level ones, right? Your best of the best of the best, they're set up, right? They're getting that figured out. But your upper mid-level ones are like, hey, there's an opportunity for me to get a little something here. They're looking for somebody to help them out.
Yeah.
Right? So they're trying to make phone calls. They're trying to find people. If you're not out there to be found, right? Because you're saying your branding right now is word of mouth. It's going to be hard for them to find you. You got to go find them, and you could build up your 50 key clientele. I mean, I would think in this space right now, relatively quickly. Just because, I mean, it is such what perfect timing to have this conversation.
And it was a crazy. I'm going to add on to that is to understand that market. And so those college athletes, right, they're probably struggling financially. They're getting through college. So, early on, they're probably not going to, have a lot of money to invest into it. But if there's a way that you can structure something where, as they grow with it, and then you can maybe get a larger portion of it as well. That way, it's kind of a way for them to ease into it.
Creating a creative deal.
Yeah, because they're probably not going to sit there and write you a check for $100,000.
No.
While they're in school, right? That's just not going to happen. So, to kind of think about how they're moving through life and make sure that you can match your service with how they move through their life.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's been our hurdle with the athlete, just because this is so new, is how do we want to structure these deals? What value can we provide them and what value can they provide us? So we've had some conversations about that, and that's definitely something we have to focus on.
Have the conversations with them too. Otherwise, it's a lot of speculation. Ask the questions. Do the interviews with them. Find out what the scaling with them. Say, I want to scale with you. What would that look like?
That's a good idea.
Bring in the conversation with them. This is about learning about your audience and your clients, the target market that you want to work with. So ask the question.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've thrown a lot of stuff at you guys. and you guys have been great with sharing and listening to what we've said. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you think was your biggest takeaway from the advice that we gave you?
You know, something I've learned the last few years is you can always be more focused. One of my favorite quotes ever is, your focus determines your reality. And I think that that's something we've taken already tremendous strides in kind of narrowing our focus, and it's just something we can continue working on. So that was my biggest takeaway is, you know, continue to just really, really, really dial in on exactly your target customer and your target client. And yeah, that's mine. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I would like to say that I also think that, you know, there was a stress relief when we became more focused. And so if we, create a more focused clientele group, there will also be that relief of, oh, now we know our market, now we know our customers, and as you said, now we know where they live in terms of how to reach them. So that was definitely the main takeaway for me, but I also was very happy to hear a little more encouragement to dive into this athlete thing, because this is something we're just kind of feeling out, and just always, we don't want to step on any toes in this industry. So that's really good encouragement for us to, go get it, yeah.
You know, we just didn't want to, what he meant was like the eligibility thing. So now that that's kind of no longer a problem, that creates a brand new opportunity for a market. We've already had those thoughts about, structuring.
Yeah, you've got that opportunity, and you guys are already ideally positioned for it, where a lot of people don't have that credibility. You guys have a massive following. You have that sports brand already associated with you. So what we're basically saying to you is lean in on that and take advantage of that now while you have that opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you guys have a great business. You've worked really hard at it. You're passionate, and I know that you guys are going to do a lot of great things. So hopefully you guys take the advice to heart, and we appreciate you being on YG Workshop.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to KJ and Alex for joining us today on YG Workshop, presented by First Federal Bank and sponsored by Circle Electric and Health Payment Systems. Do you know an entrepreneur that would like to come on the show? Have them visit younggunsmovement.com and apply. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our podcast so you don't miss a single episode of YG TV. I'm your host, David Belman, president of Belman Homes. Thanks to our panel, Lori, Ariel, and Craig, and our guests KJ and Alex Eichstaedt. See you next time.